My first video on Glasshouse Brands was on the 26th of November 2023. At that time, shares were priced at $469 USD, and today those same shares are priced at $869 USD. Since my first video, they're up 85%. And this is largely due to a number of moats or USPs that Glasshouse Brands actually have. They have access to a 5.5 million square foot greenhouse, and currently they're only using 20 to 25% of the greenhouse's capacity. That basically means that there's another 75 to 80% of this greenhouse that hasn't yet been used. And this is almost as if we're one of the big opportunities for this business, for this company to scale. And with scaling, with the scalability of this business, comes an increase in the value of the share in the future. And not only do Glasshouse Brands have this greenhouse, but they boast the advantage of being based in California. And California is really well known for its agricultural terrain and climate. You know, the likes of avocados, wine, you know, grapes are grown in California as well. California is known for this climate and rich terrain, which really produces the vast majority of agricultural output in the US. And their objective is to become the largest manufacturer and producer of cannabis in the US and effectively flood the market with some of the cheapest cannabis, but very, very, very high quality cannabis as well. And so this is where like almost their unique service proposition lies. It's around this obsession that they have with producing the highest quality cannabis, but also an obsession with driving down the cost of the cannabis to as cheaply as possible. Currently, they're boasting a gross margin of 45 to 60% with their product, where pretty much all of the other companies out there, cannabis companies, with the exception of Grown Rogue, who are the other like standout cannabis company in the US, you know, other than those two, the vast majority of cannabis companies are posting a negative margin. And currently they have a legally tested high quality strain, which you can buy at the pharmacy for $10 for 3.5 grams or $10 for an eighth, versus their competitors that are charging $15 to $20 for that same 3.5 grams. And so as a direct result of all of these competitive advantages that I've just mentioned, they recently posted their full year results for 2023 and their outlook for 2024. In summary, there are some key takeaways. You know, they were up 89% year over year in revenue. Their full year revenue was 160.8 million. Their quarter four revenue was over 40 million and exceeded the guidance. They're up 35% year over year. And if you look at biomass production, it reached 103,500 pounds in quarter four. And this is with no expansion in cultivation footprint. So they're up 30% in terms of production without actually having expanded into more of the greenhouse itself. And so their cost per pound versus 2022 is down 5%. And this comes back to what I was talking about, this obsession of trying to cultivate low cost, cheap, but high grade, the highest grade cannabis. And so currently they cannot actually sell their cannabis outside of California due to interstate commerce laws in the US. But there are discussions taking place at Senate level at the moment to reschedule cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. This is going to have a huge impact on businesses, cannabis businesses, in how they're going to be able to trade. I won't go into too much detail about that. I did a separate video on that, the link is in the description. And combined with the fact that there is a kind of almost like a global change in perceptions of cannabis at the moment, you know, cannabis products are a whole lot more accessible through the likes of CBD infused drinks, gummies, ice cream even. There is a big change taking place at the moment, and I can see this kind of gradual decriminalization and eventual complete legalization of cannabis in the US is going to be a huge tailwind for the likes of Glasshouse brand, and it's going to enable them to ship their cannabis across the US. In the meantime, if that takes too long, I have the impression that they're kind of exploring potential opportunities abroad, with the likes of Germany, for example, that recently legalized cannabis. And again, one of the advantages they have with this is obviously the California stamp, if you like. You know, with cannabis enthusiasts across the world, California is renowned for its cannabis production, you know, with strains like California Kush, which are kind of pretty well known across the world. Now, like I said before, you know, this is a company that is kind of still in its early stages. There is real room to scale. You know, they're only at maximum 25% of their potential capacity. But with that comes a level of risk, right? You know, they are in debt. And I think certainly one of the things that has like alleviated my concern around the debt is that they have assets that they can leverage against this debt. You know, they have the glass house itself. They've also discussed that, you know, should they need to pay off any of their debt, they could leverage one of their assets, which is a cannabis-infused gummies brand called Plus. And so what they've basically said is if ever there is a situation where they need to repay their debt, is they can start issuing shares of this company, thus in turn generating cash flow from investors, which they could then use to pay off the debt should that actually happen. So that's something which for me personally, you know, that reassures me. You know, the fact that they have this greenhouse, the fact that they have this kind of cannabis-infused gummies brand, which they can use as leverage, both of these things as leverage, as assets to generate cash should they need to repay any of their debts, was something which was hugely reassuring for me. And they have a vested interest in the company, holding substantial stock in the company as well, which is always something that I look at in, you know, owner-operators, business owners, who have a vested interest, who have money at stake in the business and skin in the game as well. And so like with any investment, you know, it's always worth doing your own kind of due diligence and research. With that in mind, what I've done is I've posted a load of resources in the description below, links to websites, interviews as well. And so if you click on this link here, it's going to take you to this page. If you enter your information here, you're going to get access to my crypto and investing cheat sheet. You get access to my portfolio. You see what I've bought, how much I bought it for, and you'll see the current price. So you can see the exact performance of the shares that I've invested in right now. There's also a watch list, companies that I'm looking at researching, and there's also an investor masterclass video series as well, where you can learn a little bit more about how I vet stocks, what I look for when I'm investing in small cap and micro cap stocks. So if you'd like to get access to that, subscribe to the channel and click this link right here.